Hey everybody, Delta V Grow Systems back for another video. This was the Delta V hydroponic setup that we had made. Showed you the video of this before. I had the air lines running in there to the air stones, and essentially you got water circulating this way. So the reason why we're making this video is for anybody who wants to create a recirculating system out of their non-recirculating deep water culture, or if you want to replace the pump, which is really the reason that we are doing it. The pump that we had in there was smaller than we would have liked. It's a tiny little guy down there, and let me see, I can bring some light over. It's just that little pump down there. And so what I'd like to do is I've turned the pump off, I've disconnected that hose, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you the easiest way to go about replacing it. What we did is we went with the Pump 160, Active Aqua Pump 160. It's 172 gallons per hour. It's a bit stronger than the one that we have in here, and this one was selected for, you know, a handful of reasons. But the first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and reach in our reservoir here, and I want to go ahead and pull out the old pump. If you have one, you'd pull out your old one. Your hose may not be exactly the same as mine unless you bought our kit. If you bought our kit, then you would want to continue to use this hose right here, which works great for us. And you pull that tip off, and honestly you can just go ahead and set that motor to the side. We may use, or that pump to the side, we may use that for other reasons later. And then what I want to do is I want to connect the outspout to this outlet here, so that way we are pushing water in the direction that it needs to go. I'm going to have to hold my camera up for y'all to see this. So as you can see, I hope I don't have to go over this, but in case I do, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Of course I have to make sure it threads on there properly so I don't. Last thing I want to do is cross thread it. And so bear with me, I haven't quite learned yet how to I have not yet learned how to edit the videos. So I will be working on that, hopefully making shorter videos for you, so you don't have to sit through the entirety of it. But for now, as you can see, we have our hose outlet, and it's back on there. And so now that this is connected, what I want to do is take that same hose that we had just, a moment ago pulled off, and actually what I'd like to do, now that we've got this, so I had a little bit of a crimp, or a little bit of it kind of bowed out slightly, due to the way it was resting over top of the old one, and so I wanted to pull that through, as you can see, so that way I kind of use that lip in here to create a nicer seal. There's no sealant or tape or adhesive that you should need to use. It should just push the water fine. And so now we are back to having our pump in the format that we would want it to be in. And I'm hoping what this is going to do is it's going to cause a stronger circulation of water between the bins, and so that will give us that ability. You guys just got the first face shot of me. Fortunately, I'm in a state where the type of stuff I'd like to grow and the purpose of this isn't quite legal, and so I won't be using it for anything inappropriate, but better safe than sorry for an employer standpoint. So you guys got one little sneak peek at the face, and I'm going to try and edit that out in the future. But I can tell you at the end of this video, you're still getting posted, so no one go rat me out if you don't mind. So anyway, so what we're going to do is, now that we have this hooked back up, what we want to do is we want to run this hose tip into this port here, this push port or drain port, whatever you want to call it. So now I have it pushed in there, and I just want to feed it in enough to where my line is straight, my pump can sit nice and flat against the wall, and you just want to make sure that your hose stays inside on both ends, so that way the water is properly being pushed. Alright, so what I've done here is I just ran that hose back into that port like we had discussed. It's still attached to the end of the outlet on our pump. Our pump is submerged in the water, and the cord is running out. So now that this has been done, what we want to do, is we want to take our reservoir, lid, a reservoir cover, which is temporary, by the way. If you look at the links in the descriptions of my last video, you'll see that I actually recommend the gamma lid, not the pull-off, the threaded lid. I'll add a link for that in this video as well, so that way you know which lid I'm referring to. You're definitely going to want to switch over to that, in my personal opinion. So once we have that, what we want to do is we kind of want to go up and test this pump here. And so we plug her in. And she's pushing water. She is definitely pushing water. That's what we want to see. That's exactly what we want to see. And how's the water level over here? Alright, so one of the things that you're going to have to kind of keep in mind as you're using these types of systems is that you're going to have to be mindful as to how much water is being pushed in here. You can see that water level is just below the netting. And then you can see here it's almost an inch below the netting, and it's kind of because of the way that the water is being pushed and pulled. You could probably do it by using a more open hose here. We may have some upgraded models that work that better. And so one of the things that I'm actually noticing now is that this it's doing a decent job at actually circulating the water we've got going through here. I don't know if you can see the motion in the water, but it's doing a good job of circulating the reservoir water. It is filling this bucket up slightly, so we'll have to keep a little bit of an eye on that. It is pulling from this one a little bit, so we'll have to again keep an eye on those, but this is essentially what you want. And then we can continue to raise the water level if we feel that it is necessary. But I think that what you'll find is that these water levels will wind up evening out once the flow has kind of been made consistent. I can tell you I mean, you can see the air getting pulled through now because it's finally starting to make its full rounds of circulation. So it's just now starting to pull that air out. And if you were to stick your hand in here, you'd actually feel the water flowing. You can feel that water flowing in here from that side. You absolutely can. And just out of curiosity, probably not a good move, but if I were to increase that speed up to the max, what does it do? It brings our water level just slightly up above the bottom there. Over here, it takes us down a little bit lower, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But ultimately, I think that could just be yeah, that could be the need for just a larger hose to pull the, it doesn't have a strong enough suction. Let me rephrase. The hose isn't pulling the water through at the speed or the rate that we want it to. It's because the hose wall is much thicker than you may think. The hose itself is 1 inch, but the inside is probably close to ½ an inch. That's how thick the wall is. So you're probably going to want to switch that out. My personal recommendation would be to switch that out. Otherwise, what you do is you'll have the issue of varying water levels. Although I don't know that this level of circulation is necessary. Sorry, a little label that I left on there, but I don't know that you need that much circulation, but I'm going to go ahead and reduce it down to the lowest setting, simply because I think that would be all that would be required. I'd like to say that these water levels are going to balance out. Truthfully, we shall see. Which I think what I'll wind up doing is using the hose to add water to this bin, and we'll kind of see what it does all the way around. I will give a follow-up, but this is essentially, again, how you change out the pumps. Who knows, maybe that pump was the better size for the application that we were using. But I like going with the bigger pump. I like knowing that I'm seeing the water get pulled through. I like having that ability. So I'm going to say we're going to run with it for now. We will test it, and we will be following up with the updates. You can see the water level starting to drop there again. It's not pushing up past the net pot. And so this is essentially where we're at. All right, I I appreciate you guys watching. Again, check out the links below. I didn't add a link in my last video for these net pots, so I'll make sure I add those, and then I'll make sure I add the link for the proper cover, the reservoir lid, and as well as the pump. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care.